Simmers. My name is Darth Jeswick, and welcome back to my channel. I've unfortunately come down with the stomach flu, so I'll be using the AI voiceover for this episode of Wednesdays with the Waffles. In the last episode, Belgian had found a girlfriend and moved into their new home together. Lana has joined the tech guru career, and Belgian has started to promote her home yoga business on Simstagram. She started her first open yoga lesson, and her first customer was her new neighbor, Johnny Zest. Although he apparently didn't know we were teaching the class, he was just copying the moves we did. Or at least that's what he told us. She should make around 110 simoleons per class per participant. But after the class was over, Johnny tipped her an extra 21 simoleons. Belgian was pretty pumped that her first class had anyone in it, so she did some push-ups. I'm also going to have her craft a knife block just to work on her handiness skill, just a little. Lana had to work on her video gaming skill for her job, so she's playing a sports game. Cherry is knitting a pink polar bear beanie, which was poor quality. Belgian had to meet with a new client, Justin Delgado. They talked about his fitness goals, and then started an energy-centering yoga routine. Meanwhile, Cherry was making friends with Mrs. Goldblum. Belgian was still energized from her yoga session, so she went for a refreshing swim in the pool, perfect during those Oasis Springs heat waves. Lana decided to make breakfast for everyone, and started making a bowl of fruit salad in the waffle maker. I really need to move that over to another counter, so they don't keep doing that. Lana and Cherry had a stressed-out moodlet, so I sent them both out to do some energy-centering yoga. Cherry began working on another polar bear beanie, and donated it to charity when she was done with it. Belgian had one more class to teach that afternoon, with Clara Björgsen. She really enjoyed the class and even tipped Belgian an extra 21 simoleons. After the day was done, Belgian had made around 400 simoleons from doing yoga. That doesn't include the 4,444 simoleons from Cherry's book royalties. Overall, we still have over 30,000 simoleons, so Belgian is basically free to do as she pleases without having to work as hard as Cherry did. But Cherry wasn't quite finished writing just yet. She wanted to write an autobiography on her life, to pass down through the next generations. Bob called Belgian and spread some juicy gossip about Cherry, although I never found out what it was. Belgian and Lana were feeling pretty flirty, so I had them woohoo to try for a baby. Oh, did I mention we have the on-lay line lot trait turned on? So hopefully we'll have twins, although I will probably regret having twin infants. I had Belgian take a pregnancy test, and she is pregnant. I had her announce the exciting news to Lana and Cherry, and they couldn't be happier. Cherry was elated and immediately started to help Belgian look for potential wedding venues for Lana and Belgian. And after looking on the gallery for some time, I settled on one from Lil Simsy. She recently built this one in Henford on Bagley. After exploring the venue, Lana proposed to Belgian and the wedding planning officially began. I just hope that the dead cow plant isn't foreshadowing for their marriage. The happy couple shared a kiss, and Belgian even jumped into Lana's arms. Before the wedding, they still needed to make a guest list and pick up a wedding cake as well as change their outfits. I refuse to have officiants or anything else, so we won't have to worry about that. I will still be using the My Wedding Stories wedding feature, but gird your loins, this one is a doozy. Lana picked out their wedding cake, a 2-tiered heart cake. Then I had Belgian invite all of her friends, and she even invited Bob and Eliza, and this is where the trouble started. Firstly, Eliza showed up in what is essentially a wedding dress, even though I had the wedding attire switched to boho. I hired a pianist, but they never showed up. But we still had a radio, so we used that instead. Cherry stocked the buffet table with a variety of foods, and added fruit punch to the fountain for everyone to drink. We hired a bartender too, but they didn't arrive until later on. The rabbits in this game are so cute. I'm glad I had the wedding here. It was time for the ceremony, so I had everyone take their seats, although Eliza refused to sit down, and our friend Troy sat in the aisle. Lana was first down the aisle, quickly followed by Belgian, who was feeling a bit of morning sickness. But the ceremony went smoothly, with many of the partygoers swooning over the married couple. Lana and Belgian exchanged vows, followed by the rings, and then a spousal kiss. After the ceremony was complete, we got a marriage certificate added to our inventory, so we can hang that up at home. Honestly, I think that's the coolest thing about the My Wedding Stories stuff pack. Henford on Bagley is such a gorgeous world. I should really play here more often. But the ceremony is over, so now it's time to party. I set out a wedding cake and added a gold topper. And yes, I have extra cakes. Sims can't be trusted around cake. I had Cherry call everyone to dinner and announce that the bartender had arrived for those who wanted to take advantage of the open bar. I think Lana was outside trying to make friends with the rabbits, so I let Belgian eat alone, because her hunger need was atrocious thanks to the pregnancy. Bob and Cherry sat across from each other for the entirety of dinner, and I think Eliza was getting a little jealous. At one point, Cherry kept getting a cue to confront her about being a bully. As the guests finished up their food, I had Belgian remove the cake topper and grab a slice to share with Lana, whom she found outside by the rabbit stump. The cake was red velvet flavored, and they both seemed to enjoy this moment of peace outside the greenhouse. Eliza, however, seemed to be stomping around and giving everyone the evil eye, even when she was grabbing some cake. Eliza marched over to the table and then got even more upset that Lucas Munch stole her seat and decided to just stand and eat her cake. I was starting to think that inviting Eliza to her husband's mistress's love child's wedding was probably not a smart idea, but it wouldn't be The Sims without a little bit of drama, and I'm a messy girly pop. After it seemed like people were finished with cake, I had Belgian make a toast to her new wife and thank everyone for coming, although she was kind of facing the wrong way, but that's okay. Lana had heard from Eliza that it was traditional for one of the married Sims to make a wish in the wishing well, so she ran over and wished for a few extra days on her life. I didn't bother to check how old Lana was, so I didn't realize she was only a week away from being an elder, so I thought it might help. Fortunately for Lana, the wishing well seemed to be in a good mood and gave her 2 extra days. This random smelly painter crashed the wedding. We eventually had to kick her out because all of my wedding guests were complaining about her stink cloud. Lana desperately wanted to become friends with a rabbit and tried to lure it out of the rabbit stump. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to work, and instead she received a glare from the still upset Eliza as she waddled to the restrooms after drinking too much punch. I tried to have all the guests gather for the first dance, but I was unable to actually get Belgian and Lana to dance together, which seems to be a theme with Belgian. Remember how Max ditched her at the prom? It was starting to get late and our bartender had to leave, or else we'd need to pay for another few hours. And this homeless person seems to have occupied this bench for the night. Lana and Belgian shared a clumsy kiss, while Cherry tried to reason with Eliza. I also think that Eliza yelled or got into an argument with Bob, because he was sounding very upset while he was chatting with Duke Raymond. Lana was determined to befriend a rabbit, even if her life depended on it. Which it unfortunately did. Instead of the cute rabbit she had met earlier this morning, a vicious killer rabbit attacked Lana without warning, as she watched Grim appear in a cloud of black smoke. Partygoers rushed to her aid while she tried to fight off the rabbit, but when the dust settled, it was clear that the vicious rabbit had won the fight. A crowd had formed around her body, as the guests mourned her, which means that Belgian was one of the last people to see what was happening. Poor Belgian was absolutely devastated, so she tried to plead with Grim to spare Lana's life, but he yelled at her to not interrupt him while he's working. Grim finished up his e-paperwork on his tablet and reaped Lana, leaving nothing behind but a gravestone. Most of the guests took this as their cue to head home, but Bob and Eliza chose to stick around with Cherry while Belgian finished mourning. I put the grave in Belgian's inventory so that I could bring it home with me, and I sent the girls home. Cherry wanted to suspect foul play, but who could have predicted that there would be a vicious killer rabbit here? Certainly not Bob or Eliza, although their behavior this evening was very suspicious. Belgian returned home and felt sick, so she went to throw up in the bathroom. Afterward, I let her do a much-needed oatmeal soak in the bathtub. She was still devastated, so I built a small shrine in the hallway for Lana's ashes, a picture of the 2 of them, and their wedding cake topper. Belgian then went to cry under the covers in her room and eventually fell asleep for the night. When she woke up, she was starving, so she grabbed some leftovers. And while it does look like Belgian is happy, it's just because she has a ton of happy moodlets from the wedding and being pregnant. The sad moodlet from Lana's death just got pushed to the end, so she is sad, she just doesn't look it. Belgian is going to be in her 2nd trimester in a few hours, so we should have a baby in the next few days. I have the on-lay line lot trait turned on, so we'll have a higher chance of twins or triplets. So it'll be interesting to see how Belgian can manage without her wife, or will she find someone else to marry later on in life. But that is just about all the time I have for this week's episode of Wednesdays with the Waffles. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like because it really helps out. I upload a few times a week, so subscribe and hit the bell button to get a notification every time I post a new video. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all in the next video. Dag dag.